This is IBM Museum. Here I am in front of the IBM ThickCentre S50, still in that dirty condition, but I've gone through and I've connected on that Creative Labs Audigy 2 ZS external box that has the connections that go from that adapter I showed in the previous video. And I do that for having the MIDI connections because I have one of my MIDI keyboards connected here. This is a Yamaha model. I've got a few keyboards. Most of them, all but one, have the MIDI in and MIDI out. And I'm going through. I do have. I tried to get a little bit of the audio out, from that connection. They call this a TOS link. The digital output of the external box, and this is able to do even a 5.1. 5 satellite speakers, 1 subwoofer for the audio. But I don't have the right connector for the converter that I'm going back over to a copper line. And this is the first style of fiber that I worked with, to where the it can be very thin cable. I think this is like a 50-foot lead that I had, and I had that running around my office. And you're seeing the S50 and that external box. If you're watching this on a monitor of any size, it's going to be larger than lifestyle. By the way, that I have the webcam connected to show that. But here is the video output of that, and this is an XP home operating system, just with that 2 GB of RAM. That's the primary limitation of the system. And in this instance, you're seeing my grandmother and one of my great-great-grandfathers. This is the image I use for most of my my desktops, be it on my Chromebooks or Chrome OS or Windows, wherever the case may be. I do this as a background. My grandmother's a teen in this picture, and the closest approximation to when this is taken, this would be a little bit less than 100 years ago. My grandmother looks to be about 15, 16 years old, maybe a little bit younger. And then my great-great-grandfather that's in the background there, he died in 1935, and he still looks pretty healthy in this instance. And then she's one of her cousins that's younger, one of her boy cousins is there, and probably one of the cousin's mother is probably the woman that's there. And this came from that Swanson side of the family. My great-great-grandfather is John August Swanson. He was the eldest of 4 brothers. The 3 eldest brothers came to the United States. The 4th brother, the youngest brother, remained back. And we had the Swanson clan on another side of the family, and that's what my my grandmother's descended from. But I just thought it's a neat picture. It's in Brookings, South Dakota. That's over on the east side of South Dakota, and they're sorting potatoes out there. The boy cousin's seen on a crate that's marked as one of the locations in Milwaukee, to whatever it held in that crate. They've got the wagon off to the side. They've gone through and had the ramp and went through and dumped the potatoes and going through and sorting through. And it's just a really neat little photo to me that they're not aware of the photographer. I don't know who took the picture, why they're not focused on the photographer. The Swanson clan went through and they had a lot of the nice little Cadillac cars and everything else, as well as my grandmother's father. And they had all these family outings, and you can see post pictures with just this enormous group of people. In this instance, nobody's aware of the photographer at the moment the picture's taken. So, but I just think it's kind of neat for the high resolution that black and white film captures, and going through and preserves that moment in time of almost 100 years ago. I am getting the warnings about a Java update being available. That's one of those things with these XP systems that it goes through, and I don't ever think it goes through and completes for the for any of the later levels of Java right before it stopped being supported on the XP platform. But I wanted to go through and run a program, and this is free that I found out there. I'm going to talk about another piece of software that I'm looking for now at a little bit later point. I found reference to it on the web and still have not found it. But this is the Anvil Studio, and it's 32-bit, and it actually goes into launches a diagnostic area for what window was last opened. And I go through and just to show the connection, the MIDI in, MIDI out connection that it has to the computer. And I can go through and send notes from the computer just as a test pattern that show up over there. And this is the MIDI format that it goes through and shows that how it's like a hypertext markup language where it has those human readable components of what sound it is for what duration, and how long the time that it plays. So it'll go through this. This is sending notes from the computer, and then if I go through and I select to play like a demo song on the keyboard. I mean, if I do keys, you can see how it marks on that left-hand side, going through and listening for input from the keyboard. And I do even have a sustain pedal. That I go through and press that sustain pedal, it says for that, and it goes through, sustains the note. When I release the pedal, the note stops. But going through and playing the demo on the keyboard marks how that music information is stored in the MIDI format as it goes through and scrolls. And just kind of a little neat little aspect to the MIDI system. I wanted to have a little short video just showing the kind of the ins and outs of that connectivity between the computer and a MIDI instrument. And I've got to go through, and at some point I'll try with the later systems. I do even have where I ordered, and I'll have to see, even for the software that this manufacturer has downloadable, but a USB MIDI cable, and it goes through and has the full-size MIDI connectors to a USB connection, probably USB 2. And the manufacturer in there, I've read on the instruction, I'll have to go through and download the little software that they have available for this to the drivers with whatever operating system support that they have, probably Windows 10, Windows 7 on back. But the software I am looking for is it would go with the Yamaha keyboard, and it's this digital music notebook. And version 3 was the last apparent release version. And Yamaha has gone through to where they do have paid versions of the software, of course, more current, have a lot more features to them. So apparently they've gone through and they've squashed that free product from years ago. It looks like probably 10 years ago or so. They had that out around the time of using with XP, like I have here. But I'm interested in trying to find the software. If anybody's aware and has an archive location or something like that of it, that would be neat to go through and see what it does, and how it can work with the MIDI recordings and things like that. MIDI playback, whatever the case may be. That studio that would be helpful for me to have. So leave a comment if you do have that. Of course, leave any comments of things on this video that you found interesting or liked or disliked. I can take constructive criticism if it comes down to it. And click on that like button for this video, and just to acknowledge that you liked it. Please don't downvote or anything like that, of course, but click on that like button and consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Recommend the channel to your friends, and so they can subscribe, so we can get that subscriber count up, and do a lot more little off-the-wall videos like this. I just thought it'd be a nice little short segment showing an aspect of the machine that I worked with for many years. This is my primary system. A matter of 10 years ago, or even several years ago, until I got other systems. But it brings out the memories for me to have the system set up and connected on. It's just been with the last few years I added that external Audigy box and the Sound Blaster board, as I discussed in that previous video, and got to the point of connecting them up to the keyboards. I didn't have it at that time. That's the use case that this system kind of developed into. And so it's handy to have around and play around with as it is. But that is all I have for now. This is IBM Museum. Thank you.